How's everybody doing? I pray everybody is doing well. Listen, today I have another thought-provoking topic. Today I want to deal with this thing called black on black crime. It is a term which was coined during the 70s and the 80s and has been used by the right, the Republicans, and today the MAGAs ever since that time. And usually it's brought up when there is a high-profile case involving a white police officer and an unarmed black person. It is used to deflect from the issue at hand. Instead of dealing with the issue of police brutality and excessive force, many on the right deflect and want to discuss why do black people kill each other in large numbers. So today I want to deal with that. First thing I want to do is go in prayer. Father, again, I thank you for this platform. I pray, God, that this information that is discussed will cause people to think critically before coming to any conclusion. I pray that it be thought-provoking and informational. Again, I thank you for this platform. This I pray in Jesus' name. Listen, and what I want to do is to use my late sister, Lonnie Ganier's book, The Miner's Canary. If you have not read it, I strongly suggest that you read it. In her book, she used the analogy of the miner's canary to describe what is going on in many of our black communities, specifically with many of our black men. What she said in the book, basically, she says, miners often carried a canary into the mine alongside them. The canary's more fragile respiratory system would cause it to collapse from noxious gases long before humans were affected, thus alerting the miners to danger. The miners' distress signaled that it was time to get out of the mine because the air was becoming too poisonous to breathe. So basically what she's saying is many of our young men are dying as a result of violence because many of the communities are poisonous. They're dangerous. There's nothing wrong with them. When they come home from the hospital, they, like the canaries, are fine. And like I just said, when the miners took the canaries into the mine, they were healthy. But when the gases became poisonous, they collapsed, alerting the miners to get out of the mines. So the point is, there's nothing wrong with black men, black males. They are not inherently criminal, as many on the right, the bigots and racists would have you believe. There's nothing wrong with them. It's the atmosphere, the environment that they are born into. But they don't want to have that conversation. They want to point the finger instead of dealing with what actually causes many of our African American men to kill one another. Many of the communities that they live in, quite frankly, have a high crime rate, high unemployment rate. Yes, check the data, check the receipts. The schools are overcrowded, underfunded, understaffed, on and on and on. And what's interesting, many of those on the right who make these comments have never been to these communities. They've never been to these schools. In fact, they wouldn't even send their dogs to some of the schools that many of our young children go to. But yet they want to point the finger and blame them for the conditions that they are born into. That's it. Instead of examining why are so many African American men dying. Now, what's interesting, you never hear white on white crime. You would think that white men don't kill other white people. White people don't kill each other. Because according to what I read, at least 70 to 75% white people are killed by other white people in their communities. But you don't hear the right or Fox News talking about that. They use the racial tropes to deflect on what the real issue is in the black community. The fact of the matter is, family, is that many black communities are suffering. Some of the other things I want to talk about is that, like I said, many of the neighborhoods are bad. And it didn't happen overnight. It goes all the way back to 1619. Jim Crow segregation, redlining, where black families couldn't get along, weren't able to move into better communities. And today, the way they do it, they simply price us out of moving into better communities. As a result, many black people are stuck in these communities. And oftentimes, people can't even get along. Those who may want to try to stay in the communities and build them up, oftentimes they can't get along. But yet they point the finger. And many of these communities are still segregated. It's by design. It's no coincidence. Because if you do a little research and reading, you would discover it's by design. Because most of the cities in these United States at one point were predominantly white, but because of white flight, they became black. That's it. And of course, some other things, some of the symptoms that we see as a result of the communities that many black people live in: lack of wealth, food deserts, meaning that there are very few grocery stores. I mean, also I want you to think about this. Many of the children are suffering, which is no fault of their own. You cannot, or you don't have anything to do with the family that you are born into. It's the luck of the draw. And many of them live public lives. What do I mean by that? Public schools, public health, public transportation. Many of them qualify for free lunches. Many of them receive temporary assistance for needy families. And SNAP, which is food stamps, which Donald J. and the right are cutting. And they wonder why the crime rate is so high in many of these communities and why black men are killing one another in large numbers. Quite frankly, many of them have given up. Many of them have lost hope. The most dangerous person is someone who does not have anything to lose. Now, I don't condone it, but I understand it. When you see no hope for a future, when you feel in your mind that you will never be able to get a job with a livable wage to be self-sufficient and independent, there is apathy in many of these communities. As a result, you see a lot of violence, crime, drug use, drug sales. And it's been proven that the environment that you grow, that you live in, will impact your behavior. I know of a family or a couple who adopted 2 black babies, and they both live in a very affluent community. Both of them are college educated, and the father makes 6 figures. And they are doing very well. These young men are thriving. You know why? Because of the community that they live in. It's not poisonous. And of course, we can talk about single parents, etc., etc. And many of our single parents, women, are doing an adequate job under difficult circumstances. And I'm willing to bet you the single women that are raising their kids, the ones that have fairly decent jobs and live in decent communities, they're doing well. Is it perfect? No. But one of the symptoms that we have to deal with, that we have to discuss, we have to deal with the elephant in the room. Single parent families. Teenage pregnancy. Many young ladies are trying to raise young male babies in some of the most dangerous communities that you can imagine. And many of them don't have access to after-school programs, boys' club, etc. And oftentimes, many of these women are on the bus and they're not in a position to go to some of the parent-teacher conferences. And many of them are just trying to make it. They're struggling. And of course, when they get off work, they're tired and they're frustrated because they feel like the father is not helping them. And that's another conversation. But the bottom line is this. I cannot overemphasize it enough. There is nothing wrong with the male babies when they come home from the hospital. And there's enough blame to go around. Many of our fathers have to do a better job, but quiet as it's kept, many of our black fathers are doing an adequate job. But the right don't want to talk about that. Larry Elders wants to blame black men who he believes, because they're not marrying their women, is the cause of black on black crime. And that's not necessarily true. It's the environment. I don't know when the last time Elder Larry Elders has actually been in some of these communities. You see, Larry and many on the right, they see the 5, 6, and 10 o'clock news and they draw a conclusion about crime in the black communities. But they never thought to think, why are so many young men being murdered? They are the canary. And they are living and growing up in poisonous communities. And I guarantee you, if we were able to flip the script, have black people living in middle class, upper class, nice communities, and white people living in inner cities where there is a high level of poverty and crime, the results would be the same. I guarantee you. Because if you do some research, like during the early part of the 20th century, during the Prohibition era, there was a lot of crime in a lot of these communities. A lot of the immigrants that came over, they were involved in gangs. All you have to do is do the research. And it was mainly because the high unemployment rate resulted in the crime going high. And thank God Franklin Delano Roosevelt had the wisdom to see that the government had to step in and help. So if we want to see these communities change, we have to fix the schools. We have to find a way to fund the schools. And we know it's based on the tax base. We know that. But the government always has money to spend where it wants to spend it. If it's funding a war, sending money overseas to help other countries, we do it. If we want to bail a business out, which is failing for whatever reason, we come up with the money. We find a way to give tax breaks to the rich. We find a way to give the money. But when it comes to black people and helping black people, we put the responsibility on black people. If we fix some of our communities, things will get better. We find a way to help our young men to get job training, inspire them to go to school, to stay in school, where they can one day have a career. Things will get better. And of course, parents have to be involved in the lives of their children. It does make a difference. But like I said, you cannot predict or plan on the family that you are born into. Let me say this before I get off here. I remember reading in one of my sociology classes. I wish I would have kept the book. There was a passage in there where they did a study on babies that were born into the maternity ward. And what happened is this person went into the ward and looked at all of the babies. There were black and white babies in the maternity ward. Now, the interesting part to me, the gentleman said that he could not predict what was going to happen with the white babies because the sky was the limit, that they would have opportunities to be whatever they wanted to be. But in regards to the black babies, he said many of them are not going to live to be 18 years old. Many of them are going to be homeless, unemployed, or underemployed. And that was like mind-boggling to me. Because he knew that the black babies would not have the same opportunities as the white babies. But the right don't want to admit that. They want to say, we live in America. We live in the land of opportunity. For many, that is true. But for many, it's not. As quiet as it's kept, we still do not live in a country, as Dr. King hoped for, where we are judged by the content of our character instead of the color of our skin. We have not reached a post-racial society even after 2 terms with Barack Obama. Family, bottom line, we're still dealing with systemic racism. And the communities that male babies are born to, or the way they are, is because of systemic racism. You don't have to have a PhD in sociology to deconstruct that. It's real simple. You can find out with a Google search, go to the library, and there are many competent people that will break it down to you on a YouTube video. But listen, I just want to get on here just a few minutes because I'm getting sick and tired of hearing those on the right bring up black on black crime every time black people start complaining about high profile police brutality cases. So listen, I hope that everyone has an opportunity to watch the video, and I pray that you think critically before coming to a conclusion. And listen, please like the video, please share the video. And also I want to remind everybody about another channel with my wife and I called Legacy by Reading, where we discuss issues dealing with family and other issues. So listen, I'm going to go ahead and end with prayer. Again, Father, I thank you for this platform, and I pray, Lord, that information discussed was beneficial, thought-provoking, and interesting. Again, I thank you. This I pray in Jesus' name. In the meantime, stay up and stay informed. God bless you.